That old Oprah, wicked Oprah Winfrey, back at it again. Back at it again. She done spoke some real personal things about Whitney Houston, saying she was, on one of her sets and she was so high she done fell out and shit and all of this. And Oprah Winfrey knows she out of pocket for that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what would make you even expose something like that at a late date? If it happened that long ago, I mean, what is you trying? You trying to ridicule the woman and her family? You trying to show her in a compromising position. Oprah Winfrey knows she out of pocket. Black power. She knows she's out of pocket. But she don't give a damn because Oprah Winfrey has already, everybody know about her. Being a high priestess of this cabal that you have. She the high priestess. She ain't no little, yeah, she ain't no little associate or nothing. She's a high priestess. You don't get that far up in the game, and just to and humiliation rituals. What she did to Whitney Houston was a humiliation ritual in honor of Clive Davis. Ain't that something that she would do that when this man is on this old wicked, and I'm gonna get on his ass too, on his deathbed. Clive Davis, the Bram Stoker of the music industry, ain't nothing but Dracula. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be surprised you see that motherfucker back up 2-3 days from now. After after they sacrifice some more people in honor of him, and he get the blood drops and shit, he might be walking around again. But yeah, Oprah, she's out and she's so sloppy. But why she haven't said nothing about John the God? That guy down there in where's he at? Yeah, she supported this motherfucker. Yeah, they call him, and she gave him international fame. On her, and this motherfucker was convicted or had over 600 complaints. Where he was a man. He got convicted of numerous counts of rape, sexual violation, and fraud, and the abuse of vulnerable individuals. This motherfucker had over 600 complaints, but he got international fame through Oprah Winfrey, and yet and still, yeah, and still you ain't heard nothing about the John of God, but yet she still bring it up, and Whitney been gone for a minute. And I don't know if Whitney Houston even looked at Oprah Winfrey as her friend or not, because she most definitely not a friend. Because it wasn't even no need to bring that shit up. That's really personal. You know what I'm saying? And if you held it for that long, what would make you, accept, man, to destroy, try to destroy somebody. And so yeah, Oprah, and the irony of that shit being right around the time of the Clive Davis and shit and all this, and so yeah, it's a humiliation ritual, you know, in honor and celebration of Clive Davis, of like I said, the king vampire to all them wicked niggas. You know what I'm saying? Diddy, Russell Simmons, damn near everybody in. I don't know, but I'm quite sure. R. Kelly had it. He had his hand in R. Kelly, Aretha Franklin. See, they looked up to that Neanderthal. They looked up to that Neanderthal. And they still give him honors even though he pillaged the fucking music industry. He pillaged the motherfucking and see, but that's what, and they make you come out there, pay homage and shit. All these niggas paying homage to this Bram Stoker, And when you look at all the deaths that come out of that, man, fucking with Clive, and they saying Whitney Houston was beat up. They saying she was beat up in the bath. That's what I heard. The other, what's her name, Jaguar Wright, and I don't know how trustworthy her information is, but I think I did hear something to that, to that effect that she might have even been beat up, and put in the damn tub. Which and at the same time when Whitney was over there, and supposedly had drowned, this motherfucker was having a party. He didn't even go check or nothing and shit, because at that probably, he was still getting dough. He was still getting dough off of Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston's still making money right now. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know she had that many albums. You know what I'm saying? That been sold, man. Listen here, for real. You know what I'm saying? I was looking at some Michael Jackson shit. Because I was no, it was a video about the greatest selling albums of all times. You know what I'm saying? And I think it started at around maybe 20 million, and up. 20 million and up. But Whitney Houston was on that list. She had about 3, 4 albums, man. She had about 3, 4 albums. I believe it was about 4. And man, she had some albums that sold 40, a couple of them. Close 40 million albums. You know what I'm saying? 40, 45 million albums. So imagine, them albums still selling right now. You feel what I'm saying? So she, even in, so he motherfucker getting crazy dough off of these people, and in the wicked irony of her daughter even, dying the same way she died, But I seen Dionne Warwick got up there, paid homage to the Neanderthal. I believe Dionne Warwick is Whitney Houston's cousin, but she got up there and honored this beast, And you talking about TLC? I think TLC threw the motherfucker in the trunk or something. This man, they done sold, and that motherfucker gonna get him about $50,000. Oh no! See, I mean, people got to talk about that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, goddamn, and blame it on the artist, and a lot of times, I don't know, the artists come in, believing that, these record producers is gonna take care of them. Man, listen here. Uh, yeah, TLC had a diamond album, 10 million. Motherfucker went diamond. That first was no, I believe it was that one that had waterfalls on it. That motherfucker sold 10 million copies. That motherfucker went diamond. You feel what I'm saying? So so that mean, and they say that made something like $75 million for them, and they tried to get them $50,000. This is, and so yeah, they pillages these artists out here, man. They be pillaging these artists, but I've been known about him, but it's some other ones in there. But they did not understand that they spending their money on. Yeah, I understand reading the fine lines. I understand reading the fine line. But goddamn, when you done sold 75 million motherfucking dollars, yeah, I understand that now. I do understand. They give a motherfucker, they give a motherfucker some upfront money, but goddamn, you know, I don't know. Cause it's a lot of people smart in the game and they tried to fuck them too, so it ain't everybody not reading the fine line. Some of these motherfuckers just sticking these artists up. Cause you have motherfuckers like Michael Jackson and Prince, them motherfuckers is educated. Them motherfuckers know the game better than anybody. You know what I'm saying? It just, when you first get in that motherfucking game, sometimes you don't be knowing, how hard you gonna blow. You know what I'm saying? You know how hard you gonna blow. Motherfucker blow crazy. You know what I'm saying? That motherfucking Thriller album, man, Michael Jackson had made so much money for them motherfuckers, it's ridiculous. Prince too. He had some, couple crazy albums on that motherfucker too. But Michael Jackson, man, that motherfucker had about five. Man, Michael Jackson had about five motherfucking albums, man, that sold over 40 million copies. Man, you know what I'm saying? This motherfucker, man, then sold over 1 billion fucking copies. That's how many albums this motherfucker then sold. You feel what I'm saying? And so, yeah, that's crazy numbers. You feel me? And still, man, Mike still making more money than the majority of motherfuckers out here today. He still, it probably will never be a motherfucker that's going to surpass him on that level. They might get, there might be an artist that gets some shit from like endorsements and shit, but from the straight selling of albums and shit and this, that, it ain't going to happen. They ain't even sell, but I'm hearing they going back to selling fucking albums. You know what I'm saying? Because they see they can make more money. Sometimes you can, technology you believe and you can you can outthink yourself. And so they done start back pressing up vinyl. I seen where motherfucking even Jay-Z pressing up vinyl. They're going back to vinyl. So that shit coming back. You see how shit come around in a cipher like that? But anyway, family, yeah, Oprah Winfrey, she knows she out of pocket. She just, I don't see how people fuck with Oprah Winfrey, man, cause she just be doing some low down, dirty shit. That just low down and dirty. You don't bring that shit up. If you withheld the information on because it would have been embarrassing at that point, why even bring the shit up? You embarrassed. She was high and so fucking what? You know what I'm saying? So fucking what? You's a low down, dirty dog. But I guess everybody got a fault, here and there. They got a fault and she failed. And you know what I'm saying? But was she a bad person? Sometimes people fall, but was she a bad person like you? Oprah Winfrey. Your nature is just foul. And I never heard nobody say Whitney Houston fucked them over or nothing, but every time and like I say, Oprah, you need to tell us about John the God, that wicked, wicked beast that you elevated to stardom by promoting him on your program. And everybody started going to this man, and he was, that motherfucker got over 600 complaints, rape, molestation, all kind of shit. You was the one that catapulted that beef. So you need to come out and tell us, and that's who you need to be exposing. But you gonna put some dirt out on Whitney Houston, but you didn't put none out on fucking John the God. How wicked can you be? But see, you in that cabal with Clive Davis. We gonna get on that, family. I'm gonna be black. Click that link down there, Patreon, support the general. I got some fire over there right now. Too raw for YouTube. I was putting the hurting on these motherfuckers, so I got some too raw for YouTube shit over there. Please go get it. All right, Black Power.